think that there's a very natural kinship between social change and organizations that are service-based, but there's often a dissonance between the two that I find worth talking about. Social change does get a bad reputation in some circles, and so I think it's really important for organizations like Head and Hands to exist, to push back on that stereotype and show that it's really about very concrete things that they're doing, concrete things that are meeting the needs of the populations that Head and Hands are working with directly.
Sitting in the seat of putting Band-Aids on, it's becoming uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable seat right now because it's just putting Band-Aids on, and we need change. I recognize Head and Hands as being a long-standing organization, and who have, I would say, tirelessly worked for the betterment and advancement of its participants. They're not only there to fix the problems or put the Band-Aids on, and recognize that there is a bigger picture to it, and see the need for us for a bigger change.
We learn a lot from young people. Being the place that young people come and feel comfortable sharing their experiences, speaking their truth, means that we have a pretty unique perspective on the experiences that young people go through, both individually and sort of as a whole.
They accommodate the youth, so the programs and the workshops and the services that they have for them is about the youth. They know the language to speak with them, they know the type of backgrounds they're coming from, they understand it, and I think what really seals it is that they care, and it's an obvious thing.
Head and Hands works with young people to help them achieve their full potential. That means helping them find their feet, their voice, and it also means helping communities listen to those voices, and especially to those voices that are otherwise not heard. And that last part is, I think, a big piece of what makes Head and Hands so unique and so special and so important. We work with the whole person, and to us the whole person means the person inside society. And so we help them understand that the issues they're facing are part of broader structures, broader patterns, broader systems. And we also help them understand that they have a role to play in changing those systems, and that they can do that.
All of us in the community, led by the Community Council and the Benny Farm Land Trust, developed a campaign to be able to take back the farm. And the parents from YPP and the Zoo Co-op were directly involved with that. I remember coaching some of them to go down to City Hall. That clip was on the news all over the place because they expressed the need for the kind of housing that they were working to have on this site. And the whole group felt so incredibly proud of their efforts. Some of them gave interviews after that and were really part of a very concentrated push to obtain the varied different kinds of housing, and to have Co-op Zoo actually come to reality. And here we are now, I'm losing track of dates, but where, young families have been living and keeping this place alive and a resource for those who need extra support when money is more difficult, and when something like this makes a huge difference in their lives.
Your work with youth and how to connect with youth and different ways of connecting with youth is quite refreshing when you're working with, an institution like ours, which is more traditionalist in approach, normally more conservative because we have lots of bureaucracy, we have different hierarchical levels, we need to do things in a certain way, and that's part of how we work. But this brought a new kind of fresh way of working, and people were quite happy with it. I think decision makers are also people, right? So when they get criticized or when they feel attacked, it's a normal reflex to sort of pull back and become defensive. But when the person that you're interacting with doesn't use that kind of an approach, well, just like anybody else, they're more likely to listen, accept what the person is bringing, and with your help we can start looking at, okay, well, how can we do things differently with certain segments of our clientele and who we work with, and the youth and the young parents, etc. So I think that's the richness that Head and Hands brings to the table.
I think Head and Hands has been and continues to be incredibly special for young people in Montreal, not just NDG, but right across the city. It's been and is a place where people feel at home because they feel comfortable, they're not judged. It gives them access to the kind of health and social services that so many young people need and are not able to get in the other establishments and institutions. And they come away also understanding that they can make a difference in the world too.
We diffuse it. Time ticks, for nothing will split the minds around me. Individualism will never drown me. Nope, planetary man with a super fam.